Fans of real estate in the Lowcountry, the Bluffton news, and much, much more on this station. You're going to be excited because our next guest is usually the host. We've got Betsy McDaniel is joining us. And for those of you who haven't seen this yet, we've been catching some information from our on-air personalities to get to know them a little bit better behind the scenes. Betsy, you're a good sport. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. We were just talking before we started filming. It's way more nerve-wracking being over here.
Yes, I know.
There, so.
It is funny because it's so true. Being the guest is more difficult, and it's funny especially when you're talking about something a little bit personal. So today we're going to unpack Betsy McDaniel just a little bit, just a few minutes.
Okay.
But it's exciting to do this because our viewers love our on-air personalities, and of course want to get to know you a little bit better. So first question is, let's talk a little bit about what led you to this point. How did you find WHHI, or how did we find you? How did you get here?
Well, it's far less exciting, I think, than Bob and Robyn. So I'm like a little bit nervous to be following those two because they are so fabulous. But it was a very different route that it brought me here. So I'm not formally trained. My degree is in design and merchandising, and through a series of events, I grew up in Michigan. My husband and I had a business in Illinois. Then we ended up moving down here 11 years ago. And actually, I started at WHHI, in this seat being interviewed for the Miss Hilton Head pageant. So I was part of the board. And so I did an interview here and got to know Sandy a little bit. And then through another job that I had, I would jump in on Girl Talk every once in a while. And it was really fun, and it was always something that I had wanted to do. So then I contacted the studio to see if there might be any openings available for hosting, like a guest host of Girl Talk or something. And so met with Wayne, and I guess the rest is history.
The rest is history.
So I just kind of went forward with different things as time went on.
Well, obviously you had a knack for it.
So thank you.
It's funny because you're right, so many different paths could bring you here, right?
Yeah.
So we've heard from Robyn and Bob, who have more of a media history and brought them here through that experience. And yet we do have a breadth of personalities here who have sort of stumbled into this, if you will, or followed a passion that has been there that they didn't get to explore yet in life. And that's what makes it so fun, is there's just so many different stories, and that's why I wanted to do this. Let's talk a little bit about, some of those first assignments and how that went and how it became, such a much bigger part of your life.
So my very first thing that I did was actually guest host a couple of Girl Talks, and it was actually right around Christmas time. I think it was maybe 6 years ago at this point, which is crazy how time goes so quickly. But then that led to some on location. And my very first on location was a State of the Jasper County meeting, and ended up kind of funny because there was a lot of other media there, and so the person that I was supposed to interview kind of ended up doing like a press conference at the end, so I really didn't have to ask anything, so it was kind of a really easy first one. I just kind of stood there with the microphone while he was answering all these other questions. And then my second one, though, was when the new chancellor of USCB was being inducted, and I don't think that's quite the right word, but for lack of a better one at the moment. And so I did interview Dr. Al M. Panu that day and the mayor that day. And so that was like really jumping in and running around trying to get the interviews. And I was like, wow, I'm really out of my comfort zone right now, but it's fun. So those were my first two on locations.
And that's the fun thing about TV is so often we find ourselves out of our comfort zone, and then somehow quickly it becomes our comfort zone.
Right.
And it's an interesting career and a way to kind of get started and get into it.
Yeah.
I do want to spend a little bit of time, we have a minute or so left, talking a little bit about Betsy as a mom and, recently empty nesting.
Yes, as of August.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son is 23 and he is studying for his master's in biology at the University of Utah. And my daughter is 19 and she just left at the end of August to go to a dance conservatory called Steps on Broadway in New York, and she's loving it. So yeah, it's been a little bit different, and it's been kind of, I mentioned to you, I'm kind of in the process of maybe, starting a new business, which maybe I'll come back to Talk of the Town and I'll wear that hat that day.
That'd be great.
But yeah, kind of figuring out what I want to do when I grow up, and that's kind of what this part of this was, is doing that and starting my new business and just kind of seeing where things take me.
Well, congratulations to you. Congratulations to, it has to be so amazing as a mom to see your kids thriving and doing well and being happy, even though
I'm pretty proud of them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Of course, as you should be, and kind of navigating this new part of life. So congrats to all of it. And thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me. It was
a
fun.
treat. Yeah, it is fun. Betsy McDaniel, you're watching Talk of the Town. We'll be right back.